with a trim tool. We're going to take the piece off here for the handle. See if you can just grab it. Pull that plastic forward. There's 2 Phillips screws in there. We're going to move this plastic piece up here. So it's just a trim tool, slide it, a little blue clip comes undone. Now we're going to take the trim piece off on the inner handle. So just the plastic trim tool, push it in there. It should come right out. Phillips screwdriver. Now with the trim tool, I'm going to lift the master switch up. And disconnect it. Now with the trim tool, I'm going to start to unpop the door panel pins. Bring my hand all the way down. Should be able to just grab it, lift it up. Now we have the inner door handle cable attachment. So that's pretty easy. Here are the 2 locations for those. So you have that 3-stage, just push it right in. I like to use a razor with a handle on it, and then I'm going to pull this vapor barrier off, but I want to reuse it, so I'm going to try to just slice the sticky paste black. So you're going to run into trouble pulling that vapor all the way off, so you have to undo the electrical connector that goes to the latch. Then you can work your way the rest of the way around. You're going to have to pull the inside door handle and cables through the slot. And the same with that harness. That way you can set this aside. So now we have to reconnect the main switch so we can turn our key on and put the window all the way up. Actually, we want to line up the mounting holes. So I have one here, so there should be another one showing. Oh, there it is. So undo it here and here first, then bring the window up. 10mm socket. Now we're going to bring the window all the way up and use tape or suction cups to hold that glass up. So I have a set of glass suction cups. This is exactly what they're used for. You can use like body paint trim tape or house trim. It's better than duct tape. It leaves a lot of glue behind, so you want like a painter's tape or a masking tape. So now with the glass secured up in its area, we've already dismounted the bracket that holds it into the regulator. We're going to undo the regulator mount bolts. There should be 10mm socket. These ones that have the big hole, just one of them, you don't have to take the bolt all the way out because it's a guide. So this is what it looks like on the inside. And this is the part for the windows. And this is that bar right here. So now we should be able to lift this up out of the notch and take it right out. First you're going to need to do is disconnect the motor, window motors right here. Pull it back on that tab. So now you're going to put your hand inside the door, and you're going to push that motor piece out and lift this up. To get this out, really not that bad, it's just noisy. So we have 3 mounting bolts for the motor to the regulator, and it's a Torx T25. So we're going to break those free. There should be no pressure on this regulator. There's no spring loaded, so you don't have to be careful about that. But notice if you do have one someday with a spring, be careful when you take the motor out. Acts like a guillotine. But we don't have to worry about that with this one. The motor should just fall right out. So leaving the motor in the position that I took it out, it should drop right in place. You can move it freely to let that gear line right up with those teeth, and then start each one of these bolts by hand, and then snug them down. There is no torque specs, so bottom them out and turn them till they actually tight enough that they're not going to back out. And last thing we want to do is not to forget to transfer that over. So let's line this up, make sure we put it in the correct slot. Here it is. So we always want to put that one partially in, just a couple of turns, because it's going to go in the guide and hold it in there so we don't have to hold it by hand. So I'm going to try to work this up in there this way. And I know that the window plug, the plug for the electrical motor, is right here. That through. And I'm just going to turn the regulator until that bolt lines up. A lot of noise. All right, so let's line up this guide right here. Put those two 10mm head bolts. They're actually 6mm bolts, but I'm just gonna hand tight. There we go. So now with everything lined up, the bolt holes line up perfectly. Slide them all by hand. Snug them up. You'll see the lines of where they were lined up before. Make sure that they're not offset from that. I'm going to do a crisscross pattern. With a ratchet wrench, we're just going to snug these up. Crisscross pattern. Now we can plug the motor in, because we're going to turn it on and line up the glass with the regulator. Ooh. Now we're going to undo the tape or the suction cups, whichever you have. Guide it down slowly. Right till they're going to pop in on the, let those little flat washers pop right in. So you'll see what I mean right here. There we go. This one. Now I'm going to get this one done. There's two. There we go. Now we can have our 2 bolts. Snug them up gently because you don't want to break the glass. And then you can slowly mount it. Perfect. Now let's see how it works. So hopefully you didn't make a mess like this. But we're going to fish the wires back through. There you go. So we have to find the cutout for the door handle. I'm going to go with this right up here. I've got a wiring harness here. That goes there. Now you can hook your door latch in. Follow this down. So now I'm going to take that door panel, put it back on. That's the main switch, but we're going to guide this through, get it to snap in again. That main window switch, go up on the top there, slide that in place, push that down, and then you can go pop it in all the way around. I'm going to put the door handle screw back in first. Then I'm going to put the 2 mounting bolts for the main handle. Grab the main switch. Let's hook it up. So we're going to go, has a front clip and a back hook. So we're going to go into the back side of the handle first, then push it down. Same with this, we're going to line it up. We have 2 hooks on the bottom, 2 hooks on the top. Same with the inside. There you go. The mirror trim, last one, pretty easy. So with some cars with automatic windows, once you disconnect the main switch or disconnect the battery, you need to reinitialize it, and that is to put the key in the ignition, turn it on, pull up and hold it. 30 seconds will work. Then you can let go, push it down, and then bring it back up.